The Deep Space Monitoring Station on Europa pinged with an alert that would change human history forever. Technician Alex Miller rubbed tired eyes and stared at the screen. The readings made no sense. Hundreds, no, thousands, of objects were approaching the solar system at speeds that defied human technology. "Control, this is Europa Station," Alex said, voice steady despite racing heartbeat. "We have multiple contacts approaching from the Kuiper Belt. Configuration unknown." Within hours, every telescope in the solar system pointed toward the approaching fleet. The objects resolved into massive ships of clearly artificial design, metallic behemoths that dwarfed Earth's largest vessels. Commander James Reeves stood in Earth Defense Headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains, watching as live feeds display the Armada's approach. Gray-haired with steel eyes that had seen 3 wars, Reed knew instantly this was unlike anything humanity had faced. "How many?" he asked. "Over 2,000 vessels, sir," Lieutenant Tom Wilson reported. "Largest is approximately 15 kilometers in length." Reed's expression remained neutral, but his mind raced. Earth's combined space forces numbered less than 200 ships. Communication attempts. None have responded, but we're detecting massive energy signatures. "They're slowing, sir." The fleet came to a halt just beyond Mars' orbit. For 3 days, they simply waited. Earth's governments scrambled into emergency sessions. Military forces went to highest alert. Civilians vacillated between panic and fascination. On the 4th day, a single smaller vessel detached from the Armada and proceeded toward Earth. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies," Wilson said. "Universal translation algorithms are processing." The message was simple. "Attention inhabitants of Sol 3. The Galactic Imperial Fleet arrives with greetings. Prepare to receive our diplomatic delegation. Coordinates for landing to follow." Reed was chosen to head the reception committee. The landing site was prepared in a remote desert location, surrounded by concealed defensive positions. When the sleek craft descended from the clouds, its silent approach and perfect landing spoke of technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. The delegation that emerged looked surprisingly human, tall, with pale blue skin and silver eyes, but human in form. Their leader stepped forward, dressed in ornate black and gold fabrics. "I am Envoy Dren, representing Admiral Voss of the Galactic Imperial Fleet," the alien announced in perfect English. "I bring news that will elevate your world." Reed stepped forward. "Commander James Reed, Earth Defense Council. We welcome peaceful contact." The envoy's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Your world has been identified for incorporation into the Galactic Empire. This is a great honor. Thousands of worlds enjoy the Empire's protection and guidance." Incorporation. Reed kept his voice level. "We haven't requested to join any empire." Dren laughed softly. "Request. Commander, you misunderstand. The Empire doesn't wait for invitations. We have monitored your civilization for decades. You have reached the technological threshold that qualifies for incorporation. This is not negotiable." The meeting continued for hours. The envoy outlined the benefits of imperial rule: technology transfers, protection from hostile forces, and participation in galactic commerce. What remained unspoken but clear was the alternative. Those who refused faced consequences. That night, in a secure bunker beneath the United Nations complex, Earth's leaders gathered. The room buzzed with tension as Reed presented his assessment. "They want our resources and strategic position," he concluded. "Their technology is advanced, but not as superior as they want us to believe. I noticed weaknesses in their shielding configurations, and their envoy was surprised by several of our advancements." President Laura Bell nodded gravely. "How long do we have?" "The delegation has requested a tour of major Earth facilities. I believe they're assessing our capabilities before formal annexation. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Then we have work to do," Bell said, her voice firm. "Activate Contingency Prometheus and contact our friends on Ganymede. It's time to unveil what we've been hiding." As the Imperial delegation began their inspection tour the next day, they remained unaware that beneath Earth's compliant surface, humanity was preparing its answer to the Empire's unwelcome arrival. The Imperial delegation moved through New York City with the casual arrogance of conquerors surveying soon-to-be property. Envoy Dren led his team of 5 specialists, each responsible for evaluating different aspects of Earth's capabilities. "Primitive, but not without charm," said Lyra, the cultural assessor, as they walked through the Metropolitan Museum of Art. She tapped notes into her wrist device. Their art shows creativity, though lacking the refinement of Imperial standards. Commander Reed walked beside them, carefully noting every reaction, each dismissive comment, every surprised glance when humans showed unexpected advancement, all valuable intelligence. "Our transportation systems interest you?" Reed asked, noticing how tech evaluator Morden lingered at the quantum train display. "Quaint efforts," Morden replied, though his silver eyes narrowed with calculation. "Though your quantum entanglement approach is unusual." The delegation continued their tour, visiting Beijing, Moscow, Nairobi, and Rio over the next week. They inspected factories, power plants, military bases, the ones Earth wanted them to see, and cultural centers. Throughout it all, Reed maintained his role as the polite, somewhat intimidated guide. Meanwhile, beneath the surface, Earth was far from passive. In a secure facility under the Indian Ocean, Dr. Maya Patel worked furiously to analyze the Imperial technology. The delegation's shuttle had shed microscopic particles during landing, a careless oversight that provided valuable data. "Their shield harmonics fluctuate at predictable intervals," she explained to the Global Defense Council via secure quantum link. "There's a 3-second vulnerability every cycle." Similar breakthroughs came from other teams. Imperial communication systems used quantum channels that Earth scientists had abandoned years ago due to discovered vulnerabilities. Their weapons, while powerful, relied on energy signatures that could potentially be disrupted. "They're underestimating us," General Anna White said, studying the reports in the underground Pentagon facility, deliberately showing outdated technology on their diplomatic vessel. "But not outdated enough," Reed replied through the secure channel. "They're still revealing more than they realize." The next day, Reed watched as resource assessor Kelv scanned the Antarctic ice sheets with barely disguised excitement. "Problem?" Reed asked innocently. "Not at all," Kelv responded. "We simply appreciate planets with abundant water resources." What Kelv didn't know was that Antarctica now housed Earth's largest quantum computing facility, shielded from detection by technology reverse-engineered from a crashed alien scout ship decades earlier, an incident kept secret from the public, and apparently, from the Empire as well. By the 10th day, patterns emerged. The Imperial delegation consistently dismissed human achievements while methodically cataloging resources. They asked pointed questions about Earth's defense systems, population centers, and government structures. Reed met with President Bell in the Oval Office, now swept clean of listening devices hourly. "They're following their standard annexation protocol," Reed reported. "I've accessed their ship's database. 17 worlds in the past 30 years, all evaluated exactly like this before being absorbed into the Empire." "Resistance results?" Bell asked. 3 worlds tried. All fell within days. Reed paused. "But none had our advantages." "The Ganymede Protocol." "Ready, Madam President. Our lunar fabrication plants have been running at maximum capacity. Jupiter Station reports the deflection grid is operational." Bell walked to the window, looking at the deceptively normal Washington skyline. "What's your assessment of Admiral Voss?" "Arrogant. Efficient. Has never failed an annexation mission." Reed stood beside her, "But he's never encountered Earth." At that moment, aboard the massive Imperial flagship, Admiral Voss reviewed the delegation's preliminary reports with growing satisfaction. "Standard Class 4 civilization," noted his executive officer. "Some interesting technological quirks, but nothing concerning." Voss nodded. Prepare the formal annexation declaration. 30 days should be sufficient for them to prepare for integration. The usual terms. Yes. Surrender their military, accept imperial governance, provide required resources. Voss smiled thinly. They'll accept, of course. They always do. Little did he know that Earth was about to shatter every imperial expectation. Behind their compliant facade, humans were preparing a response that would echo across the galaxy. Admiral Voss stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Dominion, as the formal annexation notice was transmitted to Earth. His blue skin seemed to glow under the ship's lighting, gold-trimmed uniform immaculate as always. 18 years of service, 12 successful planetary annexations, and not once had he needed to deploy his full military might. The display of force was usually enough. Message sent. Admiral, his communications officer reported. Standard 30-day compliance notification. Voss nodded, gazing at the blue-green planet on the view screen. Such a lovely world. The Emperor will be pleased with its addition. On Earth, the message arrived during an emergency United Nations session. The chamber fell silent as the translation appeared on screens. People of Earth, the Galactic Empire hereby claims sovereignty over your world, effective 30 days from this notice. Prepare for integration. Dismantle military forces. Establish accommodation for imperial administrators. Resistance will result in regrettable but necessary pacification measures. President Bell rose from her seat, face grim but determined. She looked around at the assembled world leaders, each giving a subtle nod. It's time, she said simply. Commander Reed stood at the Global Defense Command Center, surrounded by military leaders from 20 nations. All systems ready. General White nodded. Lunar batteries active. Orbital platforms in position. Planetary shield at standby. The Ganymede fleet, in position behind Jupiter, undetected by Imperial scans. Reed took a deep breath. On the President's mark, then. At precisely noon Greenwich Mean Time, every communication device on Earth, from quantum arrays to simple radios, broadcast simultaneously. President Bell's face appeared on screens worldwide and beyond. Her message directed not just to humans, but to the waiting Imperial fleet. People of Earth, and to those who would claim dominion over us, she began, her voice steady and clear. Throughout our history, we have faced those who would conquer and subjugate. Today, we face this challenge on a galactic scale. On the Dominion, Voss watched with mild interest that quickly turned to surprise. We have reviewed the history of the Galactic Empire, Bell continued. We have studied what became of the 17 worlds annexed in recent decades. We have seen how the Tellurians were stripped of resources until their planet became uninhabitable, how the Proxima civilization was enslaved in their own minds, how the Centauri were dispersed across 100 worlds when they dared to resist. Voss's face darkened. How did they access Imperial records? Seal all communication channels. But the broadcast continued, uninterrupted by Imperial countermeasures. Humanity makes this declaration to the stars. Earth declares no entry for the Galactic Empire. Bell's voice grew stronger. We reject your claim of sovereignty. We refuse your dominion. We deny your right to our world. The camera pulled back, revealing the assembled world leaders standing united. You believed us primitive, Bell continued. You thought us unaware and unprepared. You were wrong. Across the solar system, concealed human installations activated. A shimmering energy field enveloped Earth, extending outward to encompass the Moon. On Jupiter's moons, massive arrays came online, generating quantum disruption fields that suddenly made parts of the solar system opaque to Imperial sensors. On the Dominion, alarms blared. Admiral, the sensor officer called out, we're detecting energy signatures throughout the system. Technology that wasn't in our assessment. The broadcast split into multiple screens, showing Earth's hidden defenses, orbital platforms housing weapons of startling sophistication, bases on Mars and Venus previously invisible to Imperial scans, And most shocking, a fleet of sleek warships emerging from behind Jupiter. For decades we have prepared, Bell explained. The crashed scout ship near Roswell in 1947 gave us our first glimpse of interstellar technology. The diplomatic contact with the Arcturus Confederation in 2018 provided us alliance. Earth has not been alone or defenseless for quite some time. Voss's composed demeanor cracked as he processed the implications. Impossible. Their assessment showed no such capabilities. We showed you what you expected to see, Bell concluded. You came to conquer what you perceived as weak. Instead, you have awakened a world that will not bow. You have 30 days to withdraw from our solar system. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war. The broadcast ended with a simple message flowing across every screen in a dozen languages. Earth DCLARs. No HFY for Galactic Empire. Admiral Voss paced the command deck of the Dominion, his normally composed demeanor shattered. The holographic display showed Earth's suddenly revealed defenses, systems that had been invisible to Imperial scans mere hours ago. How did we miss this? He demanded, slamming his fist against the console. 17 planetary assessments without error, and now this. His intelligence chief, a thin figure named Trell, reviewed data with trembling hands. They showed us obsolete technology while hiding their true capabilities. The delegation was deliberately missiled. And the Arcturus Confederation. Voss hissed. They've been aiding these humans. It appears so, Admiral. The Arcturians have always been problematic. Voss stared at the blue planet on the view screen. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by cold calculation. Prepare the fleet for combat operations. No primitive world defies the Empire. On Earth, the revelation of humanity's hidden technological achievements stunned the public almost as much as the alien fleet's arrival. In Times Square, crowds gathered beneath giant screens showing military assets previously kept secret from most of the world's population. Commander Reed addressed a global audience from the newly revealed Lunar Command Base Alpha, a massive installation built inside the Tycho crater, hidden from Earth's view, and apparently from Imperial scans as well. For 60 years, the world's governments have cooperated in secret to develop defensive technologies, Reed explained. What began with recovered alien technology in the 1940s accelerated when we detected Imperial expansion in nearby star systems. The camera panned across an enormous chamber where thousands of engineers and soldiers worked at stations controlling Earth's defensive grid. Massive view screens showed the Imperial fleet's position and the status of human defenses throughout the solar system. The planetary shield is our primary defense, Reed continued as diagrams appeared beside him. Based on quantum field technology, it can absorb and redirect energy weapons. No conventional force has ever penetrated a shield of this design. In homes and public spaces across Earth, people watched in amazement as decades of secrets were revealed. Dr. Maya Patel demonstrated the adaptive armor now being fitted to Earth's warships. We reverse-engineered this from the Roswell craft and improved it with our understanding of molecular bonding. It can withstand direct energy weapon hits by distributing the force across the entire hull. From a hidden base beneath the Mariana Trench, General White outlined Earth's offensive capabilities. The Apollo-class warships carry graviton disruptors that can destabilize Imperial shield harmonics. Our Artemis missiles can track targets through hyperspace jumps. President Bell coordinated from the underground command center beneath Denver, now the effective capital of a united Earth. Representatives from every nation worked alongside her, centuries of division set aside in the face of external threat. Civilian evacuation to hardened shelters begins tomorrow, she instructed. All non-essential industries will convert to defense production. In orbit, the first wave of civilian space stations transformed. Outer habitation rings detaching to reveal weapon emplacements. The International Space Station, long decommissioned in public records, emerged from its stealth field as a fully operational battle platform. On Mars, hidden colonies activated defense systems. Bases on Europa and Ganymede launched additional ships to reinforce Earth's fleet. Pluto's seemingly abandoned research station revealed itself as an early warning system that had been tracking Imperial movements for years. Commander Reed joined President Bell in Denver as the 30-day countdown began. "Will it be enough?" Bell asked quietly, away from the microphones. Reed studied the tactical displays. "The shield will hold against their initial assault. Our countermeasures should neutralize their primary weapons. After that..." He paused. "After that, it comes down to who wants it more." "Do they know about the Sunforge?" Bell asked. Reed shook his head. "Not yet. It remains our last resort." Deep within Mercury's crust, the massive Sunforge installation powered up for the first time, drawing energy directly from the sun. If Earth fell, the Sunforge would ensure the Empire gained nothing but ashes. Across the solar system, humanity prepared for the coming storm. Signs appeared in windows and on buildings worldwide, a simple phrase becoming humanity's rallying cry: "Earth ye Aries. No Turai." 29 days after Earth's declaration, Admiral Voss stood on the Dominion's bridge, watching the countdown timer reach 0. He had spent these weeks analyzing Earth's revealed defenses and planning his assault. The human display of technology had been impressive but ultimately futile. No world had ever successfully resisted Imperial annexation. All ships in attack formation, reported his second-in-command. "The humans have made no attempt to negotiate." Voss nodded. "They chose this path. Begin the attack." The Imperial fleet moved forward in perfect coordination. 1,000 warships advanced toward Earth, their formation designed to overwhelm any defense system through sheer firepower. Behind them, support vessels carried occupation forces ready to land once resistance was crushed. "Maximum power to forward batteries," Voss ordered. "Target their orbital platforms first." From the lunar command base, Commander Reed watched the Imperial fleet's approach. Their formation was exactly as predicted by Earth's Strategic A. "They're following standard Imperial subjugation protocol," Reed noted to his officers, "just as they did at Proxima Centauri and Ta Ceti." General White stood beside him, her face illuminated by the tactical displays. "Then they'll receive our standard welcoming package." Reed nodded. "Initiate Phase 1. Throughout the solar system, hidden installations activated. Automated defense platforms concealed in the asteroid belt launched swarms of micromissiles. These projectiles, no larger than footballs, accelerated toward the Imperial formation, too small to register as significant threats on their sensors. Admiral Voss barely noticed the alert about minor objects approaching his fleet. "Begin bombardment of Earth's shield." The Imperial warships fired in unison. Thousands of energy beams struck Earth's planetary shield, creating a spectacular light show visible from the ground. Civilians watched from shelter view screens as the sky burned with alien fire. But the shield held, hitting at 62% capacity, reported Dr. Padel from Shield Control. Exactly within parameters. On the Dominion, Voss frowned as his sensors showed minimal shield degradation. "Increase power. All ships, concentrate fire on." He never finished the order. The swarm of micro-missiles reached the Imperial fleet, each one containing a quantum disruption charge. They detonated simultaneously, creating localized field distortions that momentarily disabled Imperial shields. "Shields down," screamed his tactical officer. "Unknown technology. We can't." "Phase 2, Reed ordered calmly. Earth's orbital platforms and lunar batteries fired in perfect synchronization. Targeting data shared through quantum-entangled networks allowed them to hit the most vulnerable points on each Imperial vessel. 200 Imperial ships erupted in explosions before they could restore shields. Voss staggered as the Dominion shook violently. "Damage report." "We've lost a fifth of the fleet in seconds," his officer responded, panic evident. 3 destroyer squadrons completely destroyed. Cruiser division taking heavy damage. From Ganymede, Earth's hidden fleet emerged, sleek warships accelerating toward the Imperial formation's flank. Unlike the bulky Imperial vessels, Earth's ships were smaller, faster, and specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in Imperial technology. "The humans have ships behind us," Voss's sensor officer shouted. "They're targeting our engine cores." Another wave of explosions tore through the Imperial fleet as Earth's vessels fired precision strikes. The carefully organized Imperial formation dissolved into chaos. Reed watched the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Phase 3. The asteroid belt seemed to come alive as mining installations revealed themselves as massive rail gun platforms. They launched specially designed projectiles at near-light speed, punching through the armor of Imperial capital ships. "Admiral, we've lost 30% of our combat capability," Voss's tactical officer reported. "Their weapons are bypassing our restored shields somehow." Voss stared in disbelief as his mighty fleet was systematically dismantled by the supposedly primitive humans, his face contorted with rage and shock. "Retreat," he ordered, the word bitter in his mouth. "All ships, emergency withdrawal to Rally Point Delta." The surviving Imperial vessels disengage, many trailing debris and venting atmosphere. As they retreated beyond Mars orbit, Voss gazed at the tactical display showing his shattered fleet. "This isn't over," he whispered. "No one defeats the Empire." On Earth, celebrations erupted as news of the victory spread. But in Lunar Command, Reed and President Bell watched the Imperial retreat with cautious eyes. "They'll be back," Reed said quietly. "With reinforcements," Bell added. "But now they know. Earth is not an easy target." 2 weeks after Earth's stunning victory, the Imperial reinforcements arrived. 3 massive fleet carriers emerged from hyperspace beyond Neptune, disgorging fresh warships to join Admiral Voss's battered forces. "Full sensor analysis," Commander Reed ordered from Lunar Command. The holographic display showed over 2,000 vessels, twice the size of the original invasion force. General White studied the formations with narrowed eyes. "They've adjusted their approach. Smaller battle groups, distributed formation. They've learned from their mistakes." "As expected," Reed replied. "Activate the outer system defenses." Throughout the solar system, humanity's carefully prepared traps waited. The Jovian moons bristled with hidden batteries. Neptune's clouds concealed automated drone launchers. Even Pluto's small outpost housed devastating weapons designed to strike from unexpected angles. On the Dominion, now repaired but still bearing scars from the first battle, Admiral Voss welcomed Grand Marshal Drav, the Empire's most decorated military commander. Drav's presence signaled how seriously the Empire now took the Earth situation. "Your failure has caught the Emperor's attention," Drav said coldly, his aged blue face showing contempt. "I am here to ensure it doesn't happen again." Voss kept his expression neutral. "The humans employed technologies we didn't know they possessed. We are better prepared now." "You underestimated them," Drav replied. "I will not make the same mistake. Our new battle plan bypasses their shield entirely." The Imperial fleet split into 5 battle groups, approaching from different vectors. Their strategy was clear: stretch Earth's defenses by attacking multiple targets simultaneously. Reed deployed Earth's forces accordingly. The Jupiter Defense Force moved to intercept the largest Imperial group. The Mars garrison activated its surface-to-space weapons. Earth's own fleet divided to meet threats from multiple directions. The battle erupted across the entire solar system. Around Saturn's rings, Imperial destroyers clashed with Earth interceptors. Near Venus, a massive space station revealed itself as a fortress bristling with weapons that tore through an Imperial cruiser squadron. In the asteroid belt, mining ships transformed into combat vessels, using industrial equipment as devastating weapons. For 3 days, the battle raged without pause. Imperial technological superiority clashed with human ingenuity and home field advantage. Both sides suffered heavy losses. On the 4th day, Grand Marshal Drav launched his masterstroke, a stealth insertion force that slipped through Earth's outer defenses, aiming to disable the planetary shield generators on the Moon. Breach detected at Tycho Base. A lunar officer reported urgently. Imperial boarding parties have penetrated the outer defenses. Reed immediately recognized the threat. If they disable the main generator, Earth's shield falls. He grabbed his combat gear. I'm leading the counterattack myself. Within minutes, Reed and a team of elite soldiers deployed to the threatened section. The narrow corridors of the lunar base echoed with weapons fire as humans clashed with Imperial troops in close-quarters combat. Reed led his team through service tunnels, outflanking the Imperial forces. They emerged behind the attackers, catching them in a deadly crossfire. Push them back from the generator room. Reed shouted over the din of battle, firing his pulse rifle with deadly accuracy. Meanwhile, in space, the tide began to turn. Earth's distributed defense network proved more resilient than the Imperial commanders anticipated. The human ships, though outgunned individually, operated with perfect coordination that the compartmentalized Imperial command structure couldn't match. Admiral Voss watched with growing alarm as another battle group reported heavy losses. We need to press the attack on all fronts, he insisted to Grand Marshal Drav, before they can regroup. Drav's eyes narrowed. Your advice has proven costly, Admiral. I am taking direct command of the fleet. On the Moon, Reed's forces succeeded in driving back the Imperial boarding party. The shield generators remained operational, and Earth remained protected. But the victory came at a heavy cost. Half of Reed's team lay dead or wounded in the blood-spattered corridors. As Reed helped a wounded soldier to the medical bay, he received an urgent communication from President Bell. Commander, we've identified the Dominion's new position. Bell said, her face grim but determined on the small screen. Our intelligence suggests both Admiral Voss and Grand Marshal Drav are aboard. Reed understood immediately. The operation we discussed. Bell nodded. It's time. Assemble your strike team. As Reed ended the transmission, he gazed through a viewport at the distant Earth, still shimmering behind its protective shield, still defiant against the galaxy's greatest power. Time to take the fight to them, he whispered. Commander Reed's strike team prepared in the hangar of the stealth carrier Phantom. 6 soldiers, each the best Earth had to offer, checked their specialized equipment one final time. Their mission was as simple as it was impossible. Infiltrate the Imperial flagship Dominion and capture Admiral Voss and Grand Marshal Drav. Stealth systems operational, reported Lieutenant Olivia Kane, the team's tech specialist. Their sensors won't detect us until we're right on top of them. Reed secured his combat armor, featuring the latest adaptive camouflage technology. Remember, we need them alive. This ends with negotiation, not execution. The Phantom slipped away from lunar orbit, its revolutionary propulsion system leaving no energy signature to track. As they approached the Dominion, currently hiding in the shadow of Mars, Reed reviewed the intelligence one last time. Security will be heaviest around the command deck, he told his team. We'll enter through the maintenance shaft near their auxiliary power core, the one spot they can't heavily guard without risking system overloads. On the Dominion, Admiral Voss and Grand Marshal Drav argued bitterly over strategy. Their latest offensive had stalled, with Imperial forces taking heavy losses across the solar system. The Emperor demands results. Drav shouted, slamming his fist on the tactical table. We should deploy the planet-killer missiles now. Voss shook his head. Earth's defensive screen would neutralize them before impact. We need to disable their shield first. Their debate was interrupted by a subtle vibration through the ship's hull, so slight that neither officer noticed. But deep in the Dominion's maintenance section, Reed's team had successfully breached the outer hull. Moving with practiced precision, the strike team navigated the massive vessel's labyrinthine corridors. Kane's hacking tools disabled security systems seconds before the team entered their range. When they encountered Imperial guards, silent takedowns ensured no alarms were raised. Command deck, 2 levels up, whispered Sergeant Marcus Davis, checking the ship's schematics they'd obtained from captured Imperial databases. Reed nodded. Prepare the inhibitor field. Once we activate it, we'll have 3 minutes before their systems adapt. On the command deck, the argument between Voss and Drav had escalated. Neither man noticed the small device that slid across the floor beneath the tactical table. The inhibitor activated with a barely audible hum. Suddenly, every energy weapon on the command deck powered down. Communication systems went silent. Even the doors locked in place. Reed and his team burst onto the command deck. Projectile weapons, technology the Empire had abandoned centuries ago. At the ready, Imperial officers reached for weapons that wouldn't fire or tried to call for help on dead communication systems. Admiral Voss, Grand Marshal Drav, Reed announced calmly, his weapon trained on the stunned Imperial leaders. In the name of Earth's united government, you are now our prisoners. The operation was over in less than 2 minutes. Both Imperial commanders were secured, and the strike team retreated the way they had come, leaving behind confused and leaderless Imperial officers. Once back aboard the Phantom, Reed transmitted a simple message to all Imperial vessels. We have captured Admiral Voss and Grand Marshal Drav. Stand down, or they will face Earth's justice. Throughout the solar system, Imperial ships received the transmission, along with video proof of their leaders in custody. Without central command, the Imperial battle groups fell into disarray. Some captains attempted to continue fighting, but many ordered their ships to withdraw to safe distances. 3 days later, in Earth's newly revealed diplomatic center beneath Geneva, President Bell faced the captured Imperial leaders across a conference table. Representatives from every Earth nation stood behind her. Your failed invasion has cost thousands of lives, Bell said firmly. But we are prepared to offer terms. Drav sneered. The Empire does not negotiate with. The Empire will listen. Voss interrupted, his demeanor changed by defeat. What are your terms? Bell's terms were straightforward. The Empire would recognize Earth and the entire solar system as sovereign territory, forbidden to Imperial entry without explicit permission. Earth would establish diplomatic relations with the Empire as equals, not subjects. And most importantly, Earth would contact other worlds within the Empire, offering alliance and protection to any who sought independence. Impossible. Drav sputtered. The Emperor would never. The Emperor has no choice, Reed said, stepping forward. Our ships are already beyond Neptune, ready to deploy our new faster-than-light communication system. Every subjugated world will learn how the mighty Empire was defeated by Earth. Voss studied the humans carefully, finally understanding the full scope of his mistake. These weren't primitive beings to be conquered. They were equals, perhaps even future rivals. I will sign your treaty, Voss said quietly. The Empire recognizes Earth's independence. As the treaty was formalized, Reed stood by a window overlooking the rebuilding efforts from battle damage in Geneva. The stars shone brightly in the night sky, stars that once represented unknown threats, now pathways for humanity's expansion. What now, Commander? President Bell asked, joining him. Reed smiled slightly. Now we take our place in the galaxy, on our terms. Above them, Earth's new message began broadcasting across the stars. Earth declares, open for friendship, closed to empire. Retry.